Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this kind of new series that I'm working on. It's going to be called Pass or Play. What it is it's not a full review, such as like my Conan review and other things where, you sink 20, 30, 40 hours into the game. This is going to be one of those initial thoughts, feelings. I'm going to put 2, 3, 4, 5 hours into a game, kind of tell you how I'm feeling, and also kind of give you an idea of what to expect going in, see if it's something you'd be interested in. Okay, today we're going to be talking about Star Wars Squadron. It's a new game by EA. It came out October 1st. I had a lot of hype behind it. The initial trailer looks great. Looks like you're flying around on a TIE fighter. You're flying around an X-Wing. You're wrecking stuff. I mean, what's not to like, right? So let's get into it. Let's start with the good stuff. One, the game itself looks fantastic. When you're flying around on these X-Wings, you're flying around in the bombers, the TIE fighters, all that good stuff, it feels like you really are. The instrument panel looks wonderful. The actual battleground looks great. You can even sit down in your fighter in the hangar and look around, even down to worn metal. It looks like you're really part of a rebel fighter. Like, overall, the game looks fantastic. More immersive stuff. The voice acting is really good with it. Your squad mates, the enemies, you can tell they obviously put a lot of effort into these things. Whenever you're having a conversation with your squad mates, it looks great. That seems like a small thing, but that could take away so much of the game, so much of the story. So I am very impressed with that part of it. Another thing I really like, at the very beginning of the game, you get to customize your character to a degree. Makes it feel a little bit more like your own. It's kind of cool. Another positive is the actual battle mechanics. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but there is a skill set involved. For instance, one main thing is you have like your shield, right? And I mean, everybody that's seen Star Wars, they're charging the deflector shields to the front, the back, all that bull. That's in the game. Whenever you're attacking something head on, you can adjust your shields forward, backwards, to the middle. There's several battle modes that you can switch to on the fly. You can divert power to your maneuverability to make you faster. You can divert power to your weapon system. That's pretty cool. They did a great job of making it feel like you're controlling the ship and you're not just looking around, right? And probably the biggest plus is you're in the freaking Star Wars universe. There's not a lot to say beyond that. That is awesome. I mean, that's the reason that I picked up the game, is so I could fly around and blow shit up. Hell yes. Let's talk about the bad. The UI is dumb as hell in this game. The default customizable settings will have you constantly locking on to friendly players whenever you're in combat. It will not lock on to friendly players whenever you have to do these dumb sequences of just following the squad leader around. It is changeable in the options, but that doesn't feel like that should be the default. It is not user-friendly at all in that aspect. Another negative, there's very little immersion outside of flying. Between missions, you're able to talk to a few of your crewmates, you're able to debrief, you're able to look at your ship. It's a fine experience, but it doesn't feel like it really adds anything to the story. Mostly what it's doing is kind of telling you who your teammates are, and honestly feels like drawing you in, so when they get wrecked later, you feel something. One of my biggest disappointments is at the beginning of the game, the story really doesn't draw you in. That's something that you kind of expect to change at some point, but within the first few hours of gameplay, if you honestly don't care what's happening, it kind of starts to feel like a disappointment, right? There is an obvious story here. It takes place throughout the actual movies. There's going to show you some characters that you know from the movies. They're going to reference the people in the movies, obviously, but I don't feel like you really care. A couple things I'm not a big fan of in the actual gameplay besides the UI. It doesn't feel like you'll ever become skilled enough to just wreck. Most of the tactics in this game is going to be mostly of survivability, to popping the shield when you need it, to repairs, to diverting power to the right systems at the right time, and sure, that takes skill. What I was really hoping for when I purchased the game, be able to fly circles around the enemy team, be able to completely outskill the players. It does not seem like that's the case. There are moments where you're getting obliterated by lasers and no amount of speed bursts, barrel rolls, front flips, stops, goes, nothing. You're just going to be constantly smashed. There is an interesting AI element to the game where your team actually helps you out. Where you're being chased, your team will pick off people behind you. When they're being chased, you're expected to pick them off. While that's all well and good, and it adds a little bit more to the experience, half the time it honestly feels like you could just fly around and let your team pick everybody off. They never seem to be under any danger of dying. I can tell you I've seen multiple people at 1% health. It's an interesting element to add to the game, and they do have a few mechanics where you're able to set your team up for kills, but it's not extremely rewarding in my opinion. Another thing is the enemy team is constantly more maneuverable than you. You are able to do a couple things here and there, and you can kind of get behind them, but let me tell you, you're constantly be trying to search behind you for the enemy team. You're constantly be turning, which is expected in these types of games, but then it comes back to, it doesn't feel like you can actually outskill the enemy team in flight combat, at least not early on. In summary, the game is what it is and will appeal to the people looking for this specific genre game. It is a Star Wars battle flight simulator. You're in the Star Wars universe, You're flying around in some of the coolest sci-fi tech in cinematic history. But it honestly offers a little more than that. I personally feel like EA missed out on a fantastic opportunity to give us a much more immersive game with simple features such as being able to walk around with the customizable pilot that you created at the beginning of the game, or being able to actually participate in the conversations that you have with your teammates. Simple things like this will take it from a flight simulator type of game to an actual video game where you feel like you're involved. That being said, this is meant to be a battle simulator that takes place in the Star Wars universe. There is a VR option to the game that I feel would give you a fantastic experience and really open up an entire dimension to this video game. Overall, I believe if you go in with the expectations of I'm going to be flying around, I'm going to blow shit up, and I'm going to have a good time, then this is the game for you. However, if you're looking for an actual Star Wars game, I'm going to tell you to give this one a hard pass. Again, it's just proper expectations and knowing what you're getting yourself into. All right, that's going to do it for this video. I hope that I gave you something to think about. I hope that I set the expectations right for what you're getting if you get into this game. And to be honest, I'm really interested in what you guys think. All the people that want to play it, all the people that have played it, tell me how your experience went. Tell me what you thought about it. Again, this is not meant to be a full review. This is meant to be me explaining how I feel after a few hours and how I think that a lot of people might feel. If you enjoy the content, be sure to give the video a like, be sure to subscribe, and always remember to follow the streams. Facebook.gg/PhillChills, Twitch.tv/PhillChills. Y'all take it easy.